The prosecutor in a criminal investigation of Donald Trump's business dealings has convened a grand jury that could decide whether to indict Trump or executives at his company. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. For the 4 years of Trump's presidency, we kept hearing about the possibility that Trump could maybe, potentially, hypothetically, face some eventual legal consequences. There was the Mueller report, 2 impeachments, the Michael Cohen case where he was essentially an unindicted co-conspirator. Every news story for 4 years had a thin veneer of crime. You wouldn't have been surprised to see a lower third on CNN that read, Trump meets with Polish president who claims his wallet is missing. Or how about the emoluments clause? Remember that? We all had to learn what an emolument was, a completely useless piece of information we all had to store in our brains because the framers' worst nightmare, a shady real estate grifter with business dealings in foreign countries, accidentally became president. If you ask Benjamin Franklin, is it cool if a bunch of Saudi lobbyists stay at the president's hotel to curry favor with him? He'd be so shocked he'd probably fall off his French prostitute. So we wasted all that time learning about emoluments only for the Supreme Court to dismiss the case against Trump after he left office. They basically said, yeah, we stopped prosecuting for that. You know, it's like when you go to Subway and demand a $5 footlong, only for them to say, we don't do that anymore. So you say, well, has anything else around here changed I should know about? And then they whisper, have you heard about Jared? And you say, no, even though you have heard because you still want to hear them tell it. The point is, Trump's been in potential legal hot water for a while now, as evidenced not just by his own criminal probes, but by all the criminals or alleged criminals surrounding him.
The immediate past president of the United States had to pardon his campaign manager, had to pardon his longest-standing political advisor, had to pardon his national security advisor, had to pardon his foreign policy advisor, had to pardon the deputy chair of his inaugural, and his deputy campaign chairman went to prison, and his personal lawyer went to prison, and his other personal lawyer is under federal criminal investigation, and he himself personally is named by prosecutors as an unindicted co-conspirator in multiple federal felonies. And he himself personally is currently, as we speak, under active criminal investigation in 2 states.
It's just basic logic that if you're surrounded at all times by that many criminals, there's a solid chance you're also a criminal. You never hear someone on stage at a concert say, that's Doug on the bass, give it up for Russell. On rhythm guitar, that's Mick. On lead, that's Billy on keyboards. And me, oh, I'm not in a band. I don't do music. Those guys do, not me. But we're in an unprecedented situation where the previous president is under at least 2 criminal investigations in 2 different states, one of which has now reached the grand jury stage. If Obama were under investigation, we'd be talking about that too, but he's not. The only news Obama makes these days is showbiz related. In fact, if you hear about Obama investigations, it's probably a new show on HBO Max. Fingers crossed it doesn't take place in Philly too. Now, I'm going to tell you who the killer is, but first I need a glass of, water. As for Trump, the only news he makes these days is when he issues an official statement calling a horse a junkie, or when one of the criminal investigations into him takes a big step, and that's what we learned last night.
We've got breaking news in the criminal probe into the Trump Organization. The Washington Post just breaking the news that the Manhattan District Attorney has convened a grand jury that could weigh potential criminal charges against former President Trump and his associates. From that Washington Post report, the move indicates that District Attorney Cyrus Vance's investigation of the former president and his business has reached an advanced stage after more than 2 years. It suggests, too, that Vance believes he has found evidence of a crime. If not by Trump, then by someone potentially close to him or by his company.
I mean, I'm just shocked it took 2 years. Trump has arguably confessed to multiple crimes in public, incited a violent insurrection, been impeached twice, was an unindicted co-conspirator in a hush money case, paid just $750 in federal income taxes while he was president, and did everything possible to hide his taxes from public view. At this point, I wouldn't be shocked if it turned out he tried to claim a deduction for a bribe. I mean, what else do we need? Trump to show up to a Fox interview with a shovel and a shirt that says, I love burying bodies? Of course, Trump is the last guy you'd want to trust burying a body. Based on this video, you'd be lucky if he covered part of one hand. Did you fully cover him, Donnie?
I mean, I think I got it pretty good. I mean, I'd be a little worried if they had dogs.
So, there's a grand jury now. That's news. But again, I'm not getting my hopes up. Remember how many times we thought Trump was on the verge of going down? Remember how everybody at your gym was working out in a Mueller Time t-shirt and now Goodwill won't even take him? Trump always manages to wriggle out of a jam. He's like the David Blaine of crime. If he ever goes to trial, he'll just regurgitate a frog that has not guilty written on its back. If the feds come for him, he'll hide out in a glass box over the Thames. That said, we do know that even before this latest news, there have been some pretty serious developments in this case. The Manhattan DA got Trump's taxes. The New York State Attorney General joined the criminal case, and prosecutors met with Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, at least 8 times. I mean, I bet they got everything they needed the first time and then just kept bringing him back for the zingers.
I think Donald Trump is going to flip on all of them. What do you think about that, including his children? So he's going to turn on his accountant and point the finger. He's going to say, Don Jr. handled that. Ivanka handled that. Melania, don't take me, take Melania.
Man, Michael Cohen's just a totally different guy now. Loose, confident, laughing it up, having fun. He used to be the terrifying mob-style bagman, and now he's coming off like a shipwrecked Ray Romano. Trump would say, fix this for me. I can't. I got a tea time. Raymond. See, that's... Oh, you can't write the Brad Garrett impression in days. I also totally believe that Trump would throw his family under the bus. You think he named his eldest son after himself for sentimental reasons? He did it so there'd be a second Donald Trump to pin the blame on. He's the one you want. That's why he's hiding out in the woods. I mean, look at they only caught him because he waited for someone else to come and build him a Unabomber cabin. And I have no trouble believing he'd flip on Melania too. Mel, the feds are here. They want to know why you committed all that tax fraud. She'll be right down. Just give her a second. Mel, why are you flushing the toilet? Is it evidence, Mel? I know you don't go potty when people are in the house. She loves destroying evidence. That's a serious charge, too. She's going to go away for a while, huh? I'm going to miss her. Mel! I hope those are big handcuffs. They're going to come right off her lady wrists. Oh, no, are those for me? But Cohen is actually a key figure here because, as you may recall, he testified to Congress that Trump had lied about the value of his properties for tax or insurance purposes. Cohen even named specific people in the Trump Organization with knowledge of Trump's practices.
To your knowledge, did the president ever provide inflated assets to an insurance company?
Yes.
Who else knows that the president did this?
Alan Weisselberg, Ron Lieberman, and Matthew Calamari.
Remember that, you guys? When we all found out about the existence of a guy named Matthew Calamari? Name that sounds like a Super Mario ripoff your grandma would buy at the dollar store. That's his actual name. When I first heard it, I thought it was a mafia nickname like Paulie Walnuts. This is a guy, Matthew D'Angelo, a.k.a. Matthew Calamari. Sounds like a character that got cut from the SpongeBob musical. I have no idea who Matthew Calamari is, but based on his name alone, I can tell the feds exactly where to find him, slipping $6 in singles to the maitre d' at Del Frisco's to get a table by the air conditioner. Hey, let's not have fried calamari tonight, all right? The other guy Cohen mentioned there is Trump's money man, Alan Weisselberg, the chief financial officer of the Trump Organization. Prosecutors are apparently focused on Weisselberg. And when asked if he would potentially flip on Trump, Weisselberg's ex-daughter-in-law, who has said she's also cooperated with the investigation, did not hesitate.
One person now cooperating with the investigations into Weisselberg and the Trump Organization is on your screen there. Alan Weisselberg's former daughter-in-law, Jennifer, who was married to Weisselberg's son, Barry, for 14 years until their divorce in 2018. Jennifer Weisselberg's lawyer says she has 25 years of financial records, some of which have been subpoenaed. Will Alan Weisselberg flip on Trump?
Yes.
Wow. I mean, no hesitation at all with your answer there.
No hesitation at all. I'm guessing when you work for Trump, you start thinking about flipping as soon as you get the gig. It's like when you're in the middle of a job interview at Little Caesars and you're already fantasizing about how you're going to quit. You could take this job and shove it. Trump's inner circle flips more than the short order cook at IHOP. Hey, here's the thing, guys. You want to take away my Vince Vaughn, you're going to get a little Dennis Miller and a little Ray Romano. That's the trade-off. I'm not going to just stop with the impressions because guess what? I don't like my voice that much. Cohen went on to explain that Trump deflated the value of his assets in order to avoid paying taxes on them.
To your knowledge, was the president interested in reducing his local real estate bills, tax bills?
Yes.
And how did he do that?
What you do is you deflate the value of the asset, and then you put in a request to the tax department for a deduction.
Trump's assets are more deflated than a lawn Santa on January 10th. Raymond, I don't get it. There's a good chance that Cohen's testimony was the first time Trump heard that scheme explained in such specific detail.
That's how you do it? Oh, well, that sounds very illegal.
And according to the Washington Post, that's precisely one of the things prosecutors are looking into.
His investigators are scrutinizing Trump's business practices before he was president, including whether the value of specific properties in the Trump Organization's real estate portfolio were manipulated in a way that defrauded banks and insurance companies, and if any tax benefits were obtained illegally through unscrupulous asset valuation.
In addition to being a potential crime, unscrupulous asset valuation sounds like something Trump would put under interests on his Tinder bio. You know, one thing I've always thought was so funny about Trump's legal troubles was that if Trump hadn't run for president, he probably would have gotten away with all of this stuff. Defrauding banks, deflating assets. Rich people get away with that stuff all the time, and the banks just shrug and raise our ATM fees. No one cared about Trump's tax returns when he was just a cable news blowhard who called into Fox and Friends to shoot the or spend his time tweeting about Diet Coke. But Trump had to go and run for president like a moron and attract the attention of prosecutors scrutinizing every aspect of his life and business, which is not a good idea when you're famously a corrupt real estate mogul and reality show host surrounded by shady characters. Like, I don't want to make any assumptions, but if Mystery the pickup artist ran for president, I'm pretty sure they'd find some weird stuff in his tax returns too. Hey, Mystery, under income, it just says women love the scent of confidence. What does that mean? It means Venus is the goddess of love. Okay, and under assets, all you have listed are a bunch of puka shell necklaces. And this is an unprecedented situation. Virtually the entirety of one of our two political parties has devoted itself to a corrupt ex-president who is currently under an intensifying criminal investigation, which has now reached the grand jury stage. Trump's talking about running for president again in 2024, but if he's in jail, he might have to tell the GOP.
Don't take me, take Melania.
This has been a closer look. God's Love We Deliver cooks and brings over 2 million meals a year to men, women, and children living with HIV, AIDS, cancer, and other serious illnesses, and they need your help now more than ever. If you're watching this online, you can hit the donate button. Stay safe, wear a mask, get vaccinated. We love you.